Agents Podcast.
You already know when Tristan tells me or introduces someone to me to interview on the podcast, that pretty much goes without me even having to do any research. But I did do some research on today's guest and got to know him a little bit off air before we went live here. And we're bringing a Canadian on the show who also happens to be a Green Bay Packers fan. So if you're familiar with the landscape in the sports world, that's kind of weird. However, I promise you, we're not just going to talk about that the whole time because we are going to dive deep on the five daily non-negotiables. We're going to talk about the camcorder method, and we are going to talk about his experience and the successful career that he has created and how you can apply that in your business. Welcome to the show, Kelly Skar, man. Thanks for being here.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it, Jeff.
Absolutely. So I already mentioned you come from the beautiful country, the country that 50% of Americans currently want to move to. And
Yeah, certainly seems that way, doesn't it?
and you come from the western side, British Columbia. And so tell us a little bit about your just kind of your path to what led you to where you are today into real estate, all those things.
Yeah, so thanks for the intro. I appreciate you guys having me on. This has been looking forward to this conversation pretty much all week. So,
Good.
yeah, I've been in real estate 18 years. I was in the trades before that. I was a B pressure welder, which meant that I welded together pieces of pipe and vessels that would have high pressure gas or high pressure oil running through them. I did that for about a decade. I got hurt quite a few times. I got to a point in my career where I was kind of at the top of the top. I couldn't really go any further. I was at the top of the pay scale. And I was pretty arrogant. Like I knew that my bosses couldn't fire me because I was so good at what I did. Unfortunately, the market turned, the oil prices dropped out of the market, and I was going to be on a hunt for a job. Prior to that, however, I got my real estate license in 2007. So, yes, I live in British Columbia. I actually grew up in this province, but I left here in 1998 and I moved to Alberta, which is the next province to our east. And so I guess the only there's no provinces to the west, just
Right.
to the east, right? We got the Pacific Ocean. So I moved to Alberta in 1998, wound up getting my welding ticket and was in the trades for those 10 years. 2007 rolls around and I'm just spent. I had two options. My wife and I just got married and we were planning on having a family. And so it was either I was going to go back to school or I was going to go get my real estate license. My dad had been practicing for 25 years. My sister-in-law at that point had been practicing for, I think, about 8 or 10 years, something like that. You know, I'd been told throughout my scholastic career that I had the gift for the gab, and I had actually had one teacher. I think it was my grade 9 science teacher, Miss Allen, had said, I really feel like you're going to do something with marketing in your life just because you like to talk all the time. Like your mouth moves and it just won't stop, right? So it's just weird how that happens. I wound up getting into a sales position that obviously demanded a certain level of marketing expertise to be able to build a brand and a business. And 2008 rolls around, the market tanks. I'm the real estate market as well as the oil market tanking. I went to my wife and I said, listen, it's looking like I'm probably going to get laid off anyways. I want to go out on my terms. I'm going to let them know that I'm going to give them my 2 weeks notice. So we had this big, long conversation and she said, well, if you feel like you can make it work, go make it work. So I went in the next day, I gave my 2 weeks notice, and I was off to the races. The goal for the rest of the year, keep in mind, my wife was pregnant, 4 months pregnant at that point. So this is April of 2008, 4 months pregnant with our twins. Okay.
Oof.
There was no plan B. I
Oof.
had to be successful.
And she signed off on this? I mean,
she signed off on it, man. She's, I found a keeper, dude. Seriously. She is just, there's no one in this world that believes in me more than she does. And it's just evidenced all the way through our life together, 21 years together now, married for 20. So she's like, okay, go do it. The goal was to do a deal a month, did that. So I did 8 deals in 2008, rookie of the year, whatever, at the brokerage. The next year in 2009, the plan was to double. I tripled in a down market, very odd market. I went from 8 to 24 transactions. At the end of 2009, I completely revamped my business model and decided to go all in online. And so that meant websites, digital marketing, video blogging, blogging, like written blogs, like all of that kind of stuff. So I went all in on that for 2 years. I was pretty stagnant those 2 years, 2010, 2011. The market in Alberta had really hit like this, hit the skids. And my business had kind of leveled off, but it leveled off because I stopped doing the other things that had made it really successful. That allowed me to triple from 08 to 09, because I firmly believed in this digital thing. I read this book by this guy named Gary Vaynerchuk, right? This book called Crush It. And I'm like, oh man, I'm going to go all in on this thing. And so I did it. It took 2 solid years of like very consistent content creation to finally get to a point in 2012 where the business absolutely took off. I did about 42 transactions that year. At the end of 2012, decided to put plans in place to start a team in 2013. So I went out and got the Boomtown website, started generating a pile of leads, went and brought agents in, and I was building this team. Problem is that we were generating so many leads. I was really on top of the agents, not having led a team before. My inexperience really shone through, and I kept having this revolving door of agents, and I couldn't figure out why. And it was, ultimately because I didn't know how to lead them. I go to a Boomtown conference. Every top producer, every team leader at that conference had a coach. So I come back from that, I hire a coach. The very first call that I had with the coach, she asked me, why do you want to have this team? And I said, well, because I want to leverage other human beings and salespeople to be able to make more money. She's like, okay, that is the wrong answer. I need you to think about this. And when you come up with the right answer, call me back and we can start this coaching relationship. So that was big. That took me like 2 solid weeks of soul searching to try to figure this out. So I called her back, started completely revamping everything, went through, ripped apart the ICA, completely revamped mission, vision, values, all of that stuff. I went through a branding process in 2014. Prior to that, though, I had gone to my team at that time and I said, okay, we're doing things differently. Here's the new ICA agreement. I put the agreement in front of everybody and it asked everybody to sign off on it. Nobody did. So, basically the team imploded on itself and I had to start rebuilding. But that was actually a blessing in disguise because it allowed me to really embrace this new thought process that my coach had helped me drill down on and take the new value proposition that I had created for the team and go out and find the right agents. And once I was able to do that, I actually had the revolving door stopped. I built a really good, solid core of amazing agents. And we had great success through the rest of 2013 into 2014, 2015. I merged my small team with a boutique brokerage in Calgary, became a part owner in that brokerage. We ran as a team-based business through 2016. We wound up flipping the model and going towards a more traditional model. So from 2017 to about end of 2018, we went from 9 agents to 115 agents inside of about 18 to 24 months.
Wow.
And so it was just this massive trajectory. I remember August of 2008, I think we onboarded something like 30 agents. It was absolutely wild, and we could handle that because we had all the systems and the processes dialed, right? We had a really robust onboarding system and we had fantastic administrators that were able to take a lot of that off of our plate. So exited out of that company in 2019. I joined another company in 2020. And then we moved our family in 2021 from Alberta back to British Columbia into Kelowna, where I reside today. And so through all of that journey, I started coaching agents in 2013, unofficially, officially in 2018, joined a coaching company. 2020 joined another coaching company. And then we're now, attempting to build a coaching company inside of the Remax network at this moment. So it's been a long, bumpy, fun ass ride, man.
A lot to unpack.
Yeah.
Was the move back to British Columbia COVID related?
Yeah, in part it was actually. So my wife's a psychologist, and when COVID hit, like prior to COVID, I had said to her, "Why don't you do some of your calls online? Like surely there's platforms like Zoom, but like more secure and in your industry. Like surely there's something out there. Like why don't you take that way you can service the whole province instead of just one city?"
Yeah.
Right. Seeing people face to face. She's like, nah, people won't go for it. They'll never tell me their innermost deepest, darkest secrets over a video camera. I'm like, okay. And then 2020 happened. Right. And boom, her entire business shifted and everything went online. And so then that's what really allowed us to move. I had a crop of coaching clients. She had a bunch of, she had a really robust business. And so we thought, okay, well, if we don't have to live in Calgary, we won't. And so we packed up the family and we made the move.
Did she ever tell you that you were right?
No, she didn't.
No, just go ahead and let that be. Just go ahead and let that be.
Yeah.
Dude, so it's fascinating. And I'd like to know that when you look back at all of that and where you are today, so are you still in production? Do you have a team? Are you involved with the brokerage? You still, obviously you said Remax. So what does that look like today?
Yeah. So I'm still licensed in Calgary in Alberta. I'm licensed here in British Columbia as well in Kelowna. I don't do anywhere near the business that I used to. I'm more focused on the coaching, the training, the development, developing entrepreneurs, speaking, that kind of stuff, right? This type of thing, like these conversations, Jeff, this is what gets me up in the morning. Like this is what gets my juices flowing. I do the sales side of things in Calgary and here, sporadically because it's easy and it's, there's an income stream there. Eventually, I think by the end of next year, I'll probably wind up giving up my license in Alberta, just because I'm taking stuff away from my client base there, and I don't want to have to continue to do that. I do have somebody on the ground that helps me with the listings there, and we've got a really great arrangement. We listed and sold a property here on Monday. Did the same thing about a month or so ago. She's been amazing and will continue to be. And I eventually will just start to refer business to her and give up the license there altogether. So I'm not selling anywhere near at the level that I used to be, but I will remain in it. Like I'm not going to give up my license and just go full bore. I will continue to sell because I think it offers a certain perspective. It shows my coaching clients that I'm in it with them every single day, and I get it. And I, it's 18 years. It's tough to give up something that you love, right?
Yeah, keeps your knife sharp, and honestly, it's a backup plan probably. I mean that's the way I always looked at it.
Right.
All right. So as it relates to everything that you described, and I already mentioned, two of the things that we wanted to talk about on this call, but I'd like to know, from that journey back during the crash to, to moving back and kind of going all in on coaching. So let's focus on the production years. You had some insane growth there, which I think would be fascinating insight for team leaders, brokers, but I would venture to guess most of our listeners are probably real estate agents. They have no aspirations to grow a team.
Right.
What would you say is the most impactful strategy that you feel like if you went straight back into production, sole production, maybe a couple admins, that would be like your MO. That would be the thing that you would do. What is that?
Great question. And I love this because it's something that I'm doing right now inside of my coaching business. And that is going all in on content creation, going all in specifically on one platform, which is Instagram. So I hired a coach about 60 days ago. It's been transformational for me. I was speaking at an event last night, and I was prior to the event, I was talking with somebody, and I came to this realization that I had a plan that within the first 3 months, that by the business that I was going to generate, that it would have paid for the coaching for the next 6 months, right? So the first 3 months of the coaching would, like the revenue generated would have paid for the coaching. I did that inside of 2 months. And so it's been so impactful for me. And one of the things that I've been learning is really how to leverage this platform that is Instagram, and how to actually create content that converts. Not only that, but also how to actually convert somebody that it's like when they follow you, when they view your stories, how to start that conversation. One of the things that I did that I've been doing for years is posting and ghosting. Mm-hmm. So I'd post something up on my Instagram, and then I get a bunch of follows and I do nothing with them. I wouldn't engage them. I wouldn't follow them back. I would just be like, I'm just going to build the follower count, whatever. Right. So what I've really learned now is actually the things that we used to do back in 2007 when Twitter launched, or 2006 when Twitter launched. And by the way, I'll never call it X. It's always going to be Twitter to me, because that's, I started on the platform in 2007.
Yeah.
And somebody would follow you on Twitter, and you would immediately DM them. You would go to their profile, you would have a look, you would follow them back, and then you would DM them and say, "Hey man, thanks so much for following me. Where are you from?" And it was this conversation, and it was fun. And then Instagram rolls around, and it starts out with photos, and then they move into video, and you're posting this stuff up. And for me, what I wound up doing was I would post stuff up onto the platform. I would get follows. I would get people looking at my stories. I would get likes. I would get comments, but I wouldn't react. I wouldn't do anything with it. So what I've really learned is a couple of different things. Number one, create content consistently. Okay, that's number one. Number two, know and understand who your ICP is, your ideal client profile, right? Your avatar, whatever it is that you want to call them. There's 4 questions that you can actually go through to really help to identify who that person is. And this could work for a coach, it can work for a real estate agent, it can work for an entrepreneur. I don't care if you're selling widgets. And the 4 questions basically go like this. What are their fears? Okay, so that's number one. What is the fear? Question number 2 is, what are their hopes? So what do they, since this is a short-term thing, like what would the agent, so in my case as a coach, what would the agent hope to get over the course of the next 6 months from the videos that I'm posting up, right? So what are their fears? What are their hopes? Question number 3 is, what are their dreams? So this would be a long-term question. And the dreams ultimately are the goals. So what are the goals of the people that we're trying to create this content for? And then the 4th question, or the 4th statement essentially is, or the question would be, what are their blockers? So what is it that stops them from taking action? So if you can go through this process and you can answer these questions, you can then take the questions, the answers, and dump them into ChatGPT and ask the AI to help you refine who this person actually is. Who is this avatar? Okay. Once you have that, once you have the person that you're supposed to be creating this content for, you have somebody who you can speak to directly. So that's the who part of this banger content triangle, right? So who is it that I'm going to be speaking to directly? That's the avatar. And then the second part of the triangle is, what is it that I'm going to talk about? Well, if I know who I'm talking to, I know what I can talk about. Like, think about it, Jeff. If you had an agent come in and sit across from you, at your desk, and you were having a conversation, the conversation could revolve around a multitude of different things. It could be business planning. It could be social media marketing. It could be whatever. You know what the conversation is going to be, so you know how to respond to that person. And ultimately, you're probably going to know that person, their ins, their outs, their quirks, all of these things, their personality, their behaviors. If you're having that conversation with them, then you know how to answer that question. Just like if I'm creating content, I have to know and understand who it is that I'm creating the content for, who I'm having that conversation with, so that I can create compelling and impactful content that winds up generating follows, and it winds up generating likes, and it winds up generating clicks. And then the last part of that banger triangle, that banger piece of content that we're looking to create, is how do we make it not suck? How do we make it so that the process is really, really easy? So how did I go and shoot 5 videos? Like, this is about 2 weeks ago. My goal was just to see if I could do it. I wanted to shoot a video and post a video every single day of the week. Mm-hmm. So 5 days, 5 videos, shot, posted. It was difficult because I was doing the editing as well. I needed to figure out how much time I was spending on each video to edit, so that I can then take that data and hand that off to my video editor, so that he knows now what the expectations are. What I'm trying to do ultimately is get to a point where I'm buying back just a little bit of my time in this one little speck of space within my business, so that it allows me to focus on the ideation and the execution of shooting the video. So how do I come up with the idea? Well, it's quite simple, actually. It's you can utilize AI, you can utilize ChatGPT, you can go in and give it a prompt and say, give me, 50 of the top best ideas to create for real estate agents, or as a real estate agent, give me the top 50 greatest ideas that I can shoot as a real estate agent for content for my Instagram channel focused on real estate in St. Louis, right? And boom, it's gonna give you a bunch of titles, and you're gonna take that title and you're gonna ask the AI to write you a script. Like I had an idea for a script yesterday, and it was on, you know, who Roger Bannister was?
The runner?
Yeah,
the
4 minute mile guy.
Yep.
Yeah, he's the first guy that broke the mile in 4 minutes. So I'm like, I had this thought. I'm like, okay, so how do I incorporate the 4 minute mile story into real estate? How would I tie those two together and create a piece of content that would be a problem and then a solution through story? How do I do that? So I went into ChatGPT and I gave it a prompt. I said, Roger Bannister, 4 minute mile. I want to create a video around this specifically for real estate agents. Please write me a script. And it did. I read through the script. Jeff, I didn't change a word. I didn't change a word. I took that thing, I put it into my teleprompter app. I shot the video, quick edit. It literally took me 17 minutes to edit video. From ideation to the time that I actually uploaded the video onto the platform was around 28 minutes. Okay. Now my guy should be able to do that in a far shorter amount of time. So I'm thinking like probably, yeah, the editing part should take him 10 to 15 minutes if he's got the framework.
Yep. Right.
And if he's got the right tools. So that's my long answer to your short question. You know, what would I be doing today? If I could go back, if I were to get back into it today, full board, that's exactly what I'd be focused on. Now, I would be focused on actually two platforms, YouTube for long form content and Instagram for the short form.
Yep. Yep. Now, a couple questions. First of all, you know, I thought it was fascinating that you said that you embraced Gary Vee, because you really embraced Gary Vee when he was an unknown. I have the same story. Like that was exactly what I did. I embraced him. I believed what he said. I went for it and ignored everybody calling me an idiot. And it sounds to me like you probably did something similar. But from the context of saying what you did over that, you know, 10 to 15 year period, obviously Instagram is relatively new comparatively. And so but you said content creation. And so was there a point in the last, you know, because really I would say post or pre 2017-ish, it was really just Facebook. I mean, Instagram existed, but really nobody was using it, not for the way they are today. So when you say content creation in a past life, what would you say, just out of curiosity, what was the most impactful piece of that creation?
So like when I was doing it, like back in 2010,
when you were being a pioneer.
Yeah. So it helped drive traffic. So when you would shoot a piece of content, load it up onto the YouTube platform, take that embed code, put it onto your website, the way that the algorithm operated back then was that it would push traffic to the site because it had this massive, big Google, YouTube link on the site. So the more video that you had on your website, the better off your website was going to be, right? The more traffic it was going to wind up getting. So my goal was to shoot a video a day, similar to what, you know, Ian Watt was doing. I mean, you talk about video pioneers in the space. Ian Watt was the guy for probably 5 or 6 years. He was the guy that pioneered the video camera, the shot from, you know, inside of his car, talking about downtown Vancouver real estate. He started doing that in 2006. 06, before anybody else was doing this.
Yeah, before he had the whole technology that made it efficient.
He had the flip cam with the USB port on the side that flipped up, and, you know, it'd stick it into your laptop and direct download. So my goal was to do similar to what he was doing. I was just ripping off and duplicating, man. I mean, you know, anybody that knows anything about business, like they all say the same thing. Like if you have found a formula that works for somebody else, there's a pretty good chance that it can work for you. Just rip off and duplicate it. Yeah. So that's what I did. And so I would set up in my office on Sunday. Sunday was shoot day. My wife knew that. I would close the office doors. I'd have 4 shirts hanging in the office, and I would start. I'd be like, hey, happy Monday. Welcome to the Calgary Real Estate Connection. I'm your host, Kelly Skar, blah, 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 blah. Get into my thing, right? No scripting, no nothing. I knew what I was going to talk about. There was a bunch of ums and ahs and whatever. I would get in and try to clip it out as best I could with Windows Movie Maker. And then I'd get up and I'd switch my shirt and I'd do the exact same thing and rinse and repeat 5 times. And then I would have my videos edited, the blog post written and ready to go by Sunday night. And everything was programmed into the website, programmed into YouTube, scheduled, ready to go, push the button, done. I would get, people would call me and go, how in the hell are you recording a video every single day? And I'm like, dude, I'm just efficient. I don't know what to tell you. I wasn't going to give up all of my secrets, right? But it was like one day, like you create these little efficiencies within your life. And so how did that have an impact? Well, I'll tell you, it took 2 years of solid content creation to actually impact my business. Yeah. I can tell you, Jeff, when I moved to Kelowna, one of the things that I wanted to do was start up a new YouTube channel focused specifically on this area. And I started creating content there. I was pushing out 2 to 3 videos a week. I built the channel up to about 750 followers. That channel has accounted for about $60,000, $70,000 in commission income since I started it in 2022. I created content. People contacted me from the content that I was creating. I got really good on the phone, close to the appointment, take them out, land them as a client, show them property, write the contract, get the deal done.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. So now let's fast forward. And I kind of wanted that just for context, because what you were doing back then was hard for a number of reasons. Number one, you were a pioneer, and therefore you have really nothing to necessarily learn from, and no one to say this absolutely works and everybody should be doing it. People were probably looking at you like you'd lost your marbles. Yeah. Not to mention the technology was not that, because I remember when I started doing this in 16-ish, it was clunky. And in order to put the stuff out, you had to get somewhat creative and you had to have some skill sets. Today, it is literally all on this device if you want it to be. Right. I do all of my editing on my phones. And so when you say you should go all in on content creation, I want to really just shine a light on that for everybody paying attention, because there's a lot of reasons why. Now, I want you to, though, go deeper and to help our audience understand some of the things that you were alluding to, which are not just post and ghost. And the way I articulate it is, we're so hyper focused as an industry and as a world on getting attention that we've forgotten to give it. And right. I would argue that giving it should come first, because then getting it is just a byproduct of giving it. And so 100%. Explain some of the strategies that you implement in order to actually make meaningful conversations that ultimately create leads.
Okay. So what I'd really like to do is actually, I'd like to go back to the 5 DNNs. So let's get that introduced, because as I get to the end of the 5 DNNs, this is where answering your question actually starts. Like that. This is where it happens. So, okay. So the 5 daily non-negotiables. And by the way, I don't know if your audience would be interested, Jeff, but I've got a PDF document that I'm more than happy to share with all of your followers. Okay. It's basically breaks down this framework really quite nicely. If you're okay with it, just 2 things have to happen. Okay. The first thing that needs to happen, they got to go to Instagram. They got to follow me at Kelly Skar. So KELLEYSKAR. They follow me at Kelly Skar, and then just DM me blueprint, and then I will send off that document to them. Okay. So at Kelly Skar, and then DM me blueprint, and then I'll send the document. All right. So the 5 DNNs, 5 daily non-negotiables. So this is something that my coach taught me. I implemented this into my life, into my business about 65 days ago. The very first thing that I do on a daily basis is I feed my brain and I read a book. And I don't read it from start to finish. I read 10 pages. Now, some people that have done 75 hard, like I have, probably recognize that framework, right? The 75 hard is like read 10 pages of a book. Okay. So you're going to wind up reading 10 pages of the book. And listen, in the last 60 days, I've read 3 books. Dude, I've never done that in my life. Never done that in my life. So I'm, on to the 4th book. I'm continuing to read books that I know that are going to help further my business and my career. So number 1, read a book, feed your brain. Number 2, get out and move and break a sweat. Okay. We need to be exercising on a consistent basis. I was guilty of this. I was very inconsistent. My mornings would consist of getting up at 5 a.m., going and grabbing a coffee, sitting down in my chair with the fireplace on, my wife beside me, and both of us death scrolling through our phones. Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, get over to the Flipboard app, check out my news, and then maybe I'd go to the gym. Maybe by the time I'm done death scrolling, I probably didn't feel like it. So I was going to the gym maybe 2, maybe 3 times a week. Now I'm super ultra committed to this, and I'm like 65 days in, I haven't missed a day in 65 days. And so I'm either in the gym, I'm going for a walk, or I'm going for a hike. It doesn't matter. Whatever I'm doing, I'm breaking a sweat, and it's a minimum of 45 minutes. So that's number 2. Number 3, I'm reviewing my goals daily. So what I did is I looked out 25 years from today, and I identified all of the things that I want to have accomplished in the next 25 years. Jeff, I'm 50. So in 25 years, dude, I'll be 75 years old. Okay. I want to be able to look back and go, man, you know what? It took me 25 years, but I did all of these things. I was able to accomplish all of these goals. And at 75, I want to be able to look back on that and go, okay, well, how did I do that? And I want my kids to look at me and go, how did you do all of that? Well, it was because I committed to creating daily habits, and reviewing my goals was one of those things. I took the 9 things that were going to push me towards accomplishing the 12 things. I wrote them down into my notes app. I screenshot it. I saved it as a wallpaper on my phone. How many times do you look at your phone during the day?
Yeah. 10 million.
Yeah, 10 million, 200, right? I know I do at least 200 times. So I force myself to stop. It programs my subconscious. All of a sudden, I start to do things that I wasn't doing previously that are going to force me to actually subconsciously start to accomplish these goals. So that's number 3, review the goals. Number 4 is to post on social media consistently, and a minimum of 3 times per day. Minimum of 3 times per day. Pick a platform, go all in on the platform. Okay. Now, posting, you can't just post and then not react. Okay. So this is to answer your question.
Let's stop. Let's stop for a second.
Sure.
There's different types of posts.
Yeah.
What type of post?
So I focus on stories. Okay, let's back up. So Reels what we know about the Instagram platform is that Reels will help to increase your follower count. Okay. So Reels will get pushed out through the algorithm to your database first, to the people that have followed you first. Those people will watch your video, and then the algorithm goes, oh, okay, well, a good number of people have watched this video. I'm going to push it to the next audience. Yeah. And then that's how you start to generate more and more followers on your page. Okay. So Reels is how you build the audience. Stories and posts are how you engage with the current crop of followers that you have. Okay, so I post stories consistently. I'll post up on my page probably 2 times a week, so actual posts. And then Reels, I'm going to get to a point where I'm going to be posting 2 Reels every single day. So I've got my video editor. He's all queued up. All I got to do is shoot 10 pieces of content, shoot it over to him. He's going to go ahead and do all of the editing, and then I'm going to do all of the posting. Okay, so that's how I'm going to leverage the platform. I'm going to create more content than my competition, and I'm just going to have better content than everybody else. I'm going to create content that's going to be solving a problem and showing you the solution through actually telling a story. Right. So that's a big part of it. So posting at least 3 times a day. Also, you want to be reaching out to people. So that's number 5. This is the 5 opens. Okay. And this is where this becomes really, really important. I'll tell you that Tristan was one of my 5 opens. Okay. I reached out to Tristan. I'm like, hey man, I know you guys got the LCA podcast. Just curious. Are you looking for guests? He gets back to me, connects me with you. The next thing you know, I'm scheduled to be on the podcast. That was one of my 5 opens. Another one of my 5 opens was reaching out to a potential coaching client, got into a consultation call with her, signed her to a 6-month agreement. Okay. $6,000 contract. Another one of my opens was reaching out to a VP of an office in Ontario, which is in the eastern part of the country. They've got 25 offices across the province, over 2,500 agents at this one brokerage. They've got an event that they put on at the beginning of every year. And I reached out to her because she was in my contacts list. And I said, hey, I understand that you've got this event that you put on are you looking for speakers? And she said, yes, absolutely. We are. Give me your application, give me your rate sheet, give me all of this stuff. So I did that. I just got the contract with her signed yesterday. So just those 2 opens, 2 of those 5 opens that I made paid for my coaching that I purchased for $10,000 2 months ago. That is now bought and paid for. Okay. So the 5 opens I know work. They absolutely work because they've worked in my life. And it isn't just about generating revenue. It's generating relationships, having conversations with people that you haven't probably touched in the past, or it's been a long time. And so there's a couple of different ways to actually open those conversations up. Specific to the Instagram platform, when somebody follows you, if you're a real estate agent, somebody follows you, click through to their profile. Do they live in your city? Do they live in your county? Do they live in your area? Are they in your market area? Yes or no? If they are, message them. Thank them for connecting. See if there's anything that you can do to help them. See if they have any questions. And I'll get into a two question framework here in just a second. So that's the first thing that you want to do. Somebody follows
anybody that follows you,
100%.
But what if that person is in India?
So I wouldn't connect with them because I've got 5 people that I'm trying to connect with inside of my network on a consistent basis. It's real estate agents, it's brokers, it's managers, it's recruiters, it's entrepreneurs. Okay. If somebody follows me, and this just happened actually just recently, somebody followed me from India. He commented on my story. I clicked through to his profile. He had like 35 followers. He posted 2 times. He's following 1,500 people. And I'm like, no, I'm not going to bother with this guy because he doesn't fit the profile. He's not part of my group of 5. He's not my avatar. So I'm just going to let him kind of stay over here. Right? I'm not going to follow him back and I'm not going to engage him in conversation. Now, again, if you're a real estate agent and you're utilizing this strategy, the people that you're connecting with have to live in your town or your county or your area that you service so that you can start to have these conversations. Now, if you have somebody like an agent reach out to you, I mean, that's something that you're going to have to decide. Do you want your followers filled with a bunch of other real estate agents, or do you want people that are following you that actually live in your community? If I'm selling at a high level, I only want people that are in my community to be following me because it opens up an opportunity for me to have conversations with them. Yeah. So I click through to their profile. I have a look to see if they live there, and then I engage them in conversation. Hey, Jeff, thanks so much for connecting with me here on Instagram. I really appreciate it. Hey, I'm curious, man. Are you just here for the videos and the content, or are you looking to purchase or sell a property in St. Louis in the next 6 months? Question mark. That's just a 2-question framework. And so then they come back and they say both.
And this isn't auto sent.
I do everything.
Pressing the buttons. Good. Yes.
100%. There are softwares out there that you can purchase that will do this for you. I prefer to do it myself. So they say both. That's like the perfect answer, right? Or they say, just here for the content. Let's say they say that I'm just here for the content. Hey, that's fantastic. I love that. I'm curious. What was it that I posted that drew you in? Mm-hmm. We're trying to drill down. We're trying to ask questions. We're trying to get to know who they are, what makes them tick, and why they actually followed us to begin with, so that we can continue the conversation down a path where we get to a point where we can actually set an appointment. Now, it doesn't have to be about listing or selling their house right off the hop, but just creating a relationship.
Mm. Are you following all of these people back?
Pardon me?
Are you following everyone back?
The people that engage, yes.
So you're waiting till they engage before you follow them back.
100%.
I like it.
Yeah. Now, some of them have their profiles locked, right? They're on private. Mm-hmm. So you actually have to follow them back in order to be able to have that conversation.
And then you have to accept the follow.
That's right.
Yeah.
So there's the follow, and then there's the stories. So if you're consistently posting up on your stories, down in the bottom left-hand corner, when you open up your stories, down in the bottom left-hand corner, it will show you everybody that has viewed your story. Mm-hmm. So if you've got 100 people that have viewed your story, you've got 100 people that you can reach out to over the course of the day.
Yeah.
Or if you don't want to reach out to 100 people in a day, that's totally fine. Pick 5. This is part of the 5 daily opens. So you start conversations with a minimum of 5 people a day. And Jeff, the 5 DNNs are not just 5 days a week, dude. It's like 24/7, 365. Like there is no, I'm not stopping at day 5 or day 6. Like I don't stop on Saturday.
Or day 75.
Or day 75, 100%. Right? It's a lifestyle. It's a rewiring, reframing of my outlook on my life and the way that I want to run and operate my business.
Yeah. Yeah. So as it relates, so you kind of went a little bit deeper on posts and reels. Now you didn't specify. Obviously, reels are only videos. A post can be a video that's over 90 seconds that also ends up on the reels feed, but it also includes graphics, carousels, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Specifically, what are you focused on for your feed posts?
So that's something that I'm still trying to figure out what my audience wants. It's interesting to me that I get more engagement on my stories when I have pictures of nature than if I've got, a picture of me at an event somewhere.
Yeah.
Like, we live in a beautiful part of the world, man.
Yeah.
Like, it is gorgeous here. We got the lakes, we got the mountains. We're kind of an arid climate in the summertime. It's Canada's wine country. There's orchards, there's wineries all over the place. So it's a never ending supply of Instagram available photos and video and that sort of thing. So whenever I post something up that's landscape related, the engagement is just crazy. It just goes through the roof. If it's just me in a selfie or me at an event or whatever, it's like things just drop off.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So what I need to figure out is like, where is that sweet spot for me and my posts? What I found was a couple of posts that I've done where they've just been kind of more of an infographic. That doesn't resonate. It doesn't hit as much as something like if it was a picture of my wife and I, or a picture of me and my kids, or, a picture of me out in nature doing something. Right. So,
And are they typically singular pictures, singular graphics?
that's what I try to focus on, is just the one.
You should try.
I mean,
You should try carousel. I think
yeah,
giving people something to do, it makes them more engaged.
100%.
And
Yeah, I would agree with
especially
that.
if the first one is almost like a teaser for the rest of them.
Right.
But just
Yeah, I love that. I think that's great advice for sure.
now, I want to jump over to stories because honestly, and you probably know this, like I would not, if you're listening to this thinking to yourself, oh, sweet, I don't have to do videos. Wrong. You at 1,000,000,000,000,000% have to do videos. Graphics are not nearly as put out, by the platforms. Obviously, video has more reach, but on your stories, it's a different ball game. And so when you're in your stories, what is the type of stuff that you're posting? Because I assume you're posting your stories multiple times a day.
Yeah, 100%. So I've got a framework that I work through. Typically in the mornings, I'm posting something from my book that I'm reading. So right now I'm currently reading 2 books. I'm reading Buy Back Your Time by Dan Martell, and he was my coach. And I'm reading Dan Kennedy's book, The Ultimate Sales Letter. So I'll crack open a book. If there's something that hits for me in the book, I'll take a picture of it. I'll kind of outline the passage, and then I'll upload that. So that's usually the first story of the day, the book that I'm reading, a passage that resonates for me. I just recently downloaded the Bible app. So, there's stuff that pops up on that app on a daily basis. If something again resonates with me and hits with me, I'll take that image and I'll post that up. And then the third post, usually in the morning, is something that's going on at the gym. So I've got a coaching client that wanted a high degree of accountability. He wanted to get back in the gym. He wanted to start working out again. And I'm like, well, listen, I'm on this path anyways. Like, are you cool if I text you a picture of myself in the gym or doing the thing, and I expect the same from you? Are you cool with that? He's like, yeah, 100%. So I did that for a couple of different reasons. Number one, selfishly, it keeps me accountable to my coaching client, right? Because I told him, you'll never beat me, man. You'll never beat me. I'm your coach. You'll never beat me. I will never give up, right? So that's number one. It holds me accountable. Number two, it gives me content that I can post up into my stories. Right. So today I took a picture of myself, just a selfie on the bike, and that became part of the story. So it's those 3 things first thing in the morning. And then if I've got a reel that I've put up, I always post the reel, but I don't just share the reel. Like I do some funky stuff. Like I'll take an image of myself, and I don't know, you can just watch it on Instagram. There's different ways of actually promoting the reel. I don't just post it up there and put some stuff.
You mean like you add GIFs or a cutout or text, and you share your reel to your stories, which just gives it extra reach. But then you're adding something to it to give it context 100%. Or whatever. Yeah, gotcha.
That's right. Trying to make it a little bit more appealing.
Yeah,
right?
don't do that. You can't be lazy with your content.
That's right. Yeah. So then I post up the reel, and then, kind of throughout the day, if there's something that I find interesting, if, I try to shoot at least a couple of videos in the stories every single week. So I'm just, more and more reps with the video. The more reps that I get with the video, the better that I get delivering the message, the better that I get delivering the content. And that's a great message for any agent that is like, oh man, I suck on video, or, I don't know how to do this, or I just don't, like, what do I say? What do I talk about? And it's like, just grab your phone and start talking into your phone.
Yeah.
Like, record yourself, and you don't even have to post it anywhere. Just grab your phone and start shooting content just to get the repetition in. Mm-hmm. And then once you feel comfortable actually being able to post something, then post it up.
Yeah.
But don't do it until you feel like you're comfortable.
Yeah.
Right. Like so I've got another YouTube channel, and
although I will say, you may never feel comfortable.
100%.
And so it could take days, weeks, years. And so don't let that be your barrier to stop you. You know what I mean? Like,
right.
At some point, you just got to get over yourself.
From 1 to 100, number one, the first video that you shoot in comparison to 100, you're going to suck.
Yeah, 100%.
Like, something that I heard the other day was, don't compare your chapter 3 to somebody else's chapter 17.
Yeah.
So if you're comparing yourself to somebody that's been doing video for a decade on this platform, dude, that's the wrong person to be comparing yourself to.
Yeah.
Because it's self-defeat. Like, you'll stop. You won't even get started.
Yeah. A good way to articulate that too is I tell people, I'm like, as much as I use social for attraction, and I have over the years, what I quickly realized back in the early days of doing this was that it was equally intimidation to my competition. So you need to hear what I just said and realize that the people that are doing it are intentionally, in many cases, hoping you're intimidated by the skill set that they've acquired after doing the reps that you haven't put in yet. And so knowing that, they're eating your lunch. And so you have two choices: let them or get over it.
That's right. When I started creating content in 2010, I got really well known within our board. Like, all the agents knew who I was because they were watching my content.
Yeah.
Right. They're like, man, I wish I could do that. I'm like, yeah, I don't, but good luck. I remember the first time I spoke at a conference, my dad, who was in the business for 25 years, he's kind of the old school. And he's like, why are you speaking on stage and telling everybody your secrets? I'm like, Dad, you put me in a room of 100 people. There might be one person at the end of the 12 months that, they've been operating their business that might be doing the thing that I was talking about from stage.
Yeah.
Right. It's not really
isn't that the truth, man? That is such the truth. Yep.
Yeah.
I love that. So, let's a couple of things as we wrap up. I want to know, you've kind of talked about where you are today. Where do you see this going? You mentioned that you want to get to 2 reels a day. What is the end of, if you had to look into the future, what does it look like at the end of 2025?
End of 2025, I've got an incredible library of content, not just on that platform, but privately as well. At the end of 2025, I will have built one of the best and largest group coaching platforms inside of the real estate space today. At the end of 2025, I'll be coaching 1-to-1, but only 2 days a week. And at the end of 2025, I'm going to be living the life that I've always wanted to live. And that is just being really intentional with my family, with my wife, with my kids, and giving back as much as I possibly can to the industry that I absolutely love. I'm on a mission, dude. Like, hiring this coach has completely rewired my brain. I told my wife this morning. I am on a mission. I put this into an email that I send out every single Friday. It's called the 4-Bullet Friday. It's, obvious ripoff of Ferris, but he's 5, I'm 4. At the end of the day, I'm on a mission. I'm on a mission to change agents' lives. I'm on a mission to change my own life, to change my health, my mind, my body, and make sure that when I'm my dad's age at 87, I'm not sitting on the couch watching CNN or Fox News, dude. I'm on the side of a mountain skiing with my grandkids. Yeah. That's the goal.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. Do you see yourself taking what you're doing, and you mentioned Instagram, we didn't have time to talk about YouTube. Do you see yourself, or do you already multiply yourself? Because once you've created something on Instagram, effectively, it's perfectly optimized for TikTok and Facebook and LinkedIn and YouTube Shorts and even X.
Yeah, great question. Actually, I was going to bring this up earlier, but something that I just started doing literally today is testing my videos, my reels in TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm testing in TikTok first before they go to Instagram.
Yeah.
And so what I did was the video that I shot, the 4-minute mile reel. So I put the problem at the beginning, the solution through story, middle end sort of thing. So I uploaded that into TikTok. It got like, I don't know, 700 views on it over the course of 24 hours. Pretty decent metrics. What I did then was I took the problem from the beginning of the video and I moved it into the middle of the video. And what I've done was I've taken that video and I uploaded it into the platform just this morning at 10 a.m. So I scheduled it to go out. Here's what I found just over the course of the last 3 hours. I have more, the watch time of that second video is triple the watch time of the first video.
Interesting.
The number of views that the second video has received in the same time frame as the first video is triple the amount of views. So the second video that I uploaded has the potential to surpass that first one and have a much longer view duration than that first video. Yeah. So what will I do?
All because you just tweaked
just because I tweaked it.
Yep.
Yeah. 100%. I attended this social selling summit on Monday. Dan Martell Media put this thing on, and the things that they've been able to do with their media over the course of the last 18 months have been truly remarkable. And this is something that I learned from them. Like they'll edit 3 videos and they'll do that exact same thing. Problem, solution, story. They'll move the problem around inside of the video. They'll measure it against TikTok. Like I'm talking in the hundreds of views. They're talking in the millions of views. If they've got a video that hit 1 and then one that hit 1.5 and the other one that hit 2, they're taking that 2 million view video and they're uploading it into their Instagram because they know that that's the banger. They know that that's the one that's actually.
They use one platform as basically their test round.
That's right.
Interesting. Yeah, that's fascinating. I mean, that's next level because for most of the people listening here, you're still at square zero. You haven't gotten off that. You haven't got off the schneid. And
that's right.
I wholeheartedly agree. Instagram should be a foundational platform. I say it differently. I say it because we're all familiar with Facebook. Instagram forces you to become better because it's a TikTok copycat. It's got the technology. Right. It's going to make you become a better creator, and you can kill 2 birds with 1 stone when you're 100%. Posting. And so, I love this. What is the best way if somebody wants to connect with you and go deeper with you and talk to you about coaching and learn more about maybe go deeper into this conversation? How do they get in touch with you? Obviously, Instagram. Yep.
Instagram, 100%. That's where I want everybody to go. At Kelly Skar. You can find me on there. You DM me, I'll get back to you.
Go shoot him that DM. I already have. So I saw that. So there it is. And you are on YouTube. If they want to go stalk you on YouTube, what the same thing? Is it your name?
At Kelly Skar. Yeah. Just go to Google, just do a search on YouTube, Kelly Skar, and I've got 2 channels there.
Fantastic.
One is Live Love Kelowna, and then the other one is at my name, at Kelly Skar. So
I love it. I love it. Listen, folks, we're all after the elusive, fountain of youth. And Kelly, I would say you are a great example of somebody who you're a practitioner. And there's a lot of quote unquote social media experts. I hate the word expert because it really doesn't exist in my opinion. It's the people that are doing the things and pushing the buttons and learning what works. That's the people I want to learn from. And I don't care how many followers you have. That's vanity metric. And in many cases, it's bought. And so to this audience, you know me well. I talk about this all the time. Kelly is a great example of somebody that you need to add to the bucket of people that you need to watch, because he's testing and doing the things that you need to be doing. And he's not doing it for the sake of vanity metrics. He's doing it to grow his business. And, he's got a different avatar than you do, but it's the same principles. And you just need to apply it and figure it out. Kelly, it's been a pleasure, man. It's great to get to know you. And hopefully we can stay in touch.
Yeah, brother. I appreciate you, man. Thank you.
Lab Coat Agents Podcast.